Money Vikings, I got a really special one for you today. It's about 7 key ideas that Gen X has to keep in mind and has to take action on right now for a secure retirement. So join me for that, and we're going to have some fun as well. I'm also going to crack a pack of Garbage Pail Kids in honor of all my Gen X fans out there. Thank you very much. So, Money Vikings, let's jump right into it. Money Vikings ideas and concepts of true wealth, where we're talking about investing, wealth building, health, etc., they cross every generation, right? Whether you are 20 years old and you're just starting out, or you're 65 years old and you're just about to retire, we try to cover the whole breadth of concepts to secure a life of true wealth, which is investing, health, and then other things like family, collectibles, connections, and all that kind of stuff. So those 3 things combine, the trifecta, into a life of true wealth. But Gen X, I am a member of Gen X, and Gen X is in a very particular spot at the moment. So Gen X at the moment is roughly between the ages of 43 and 58. So it is absolutely crunch time for Gen X to get their financial house in order. And I know a lot of you out there, hey, me included at times, are probably shaking our heads thinking, oh man, how are we going to do this? And Gen X is such a unique generation. We grew up in the grunge era. There was sort of a lot of Gen X were the latchkey kids. They kind of raised themselves. I don't want to go too far overboard with that, but both parents at that point were working. And so a lot of times the kids were home alone for many hours. They'd go home after school and there was no one there. So there's that concept of independence, or having to kind of take care of themselves at an early age. There's also a little bit of distrust and jadedness I've found of this Gen X. You had punk rock, you had all these things. There was this distrust of bureaucracies and systems and corporations. So Gen X has this kind of hard-boiled attitude at times about things. So we're going to kind of talk about that. And then again, I'm going to go into 7 big concepts that we all need to take quite seriously right now. Because as I said, we are in crunch time. If you're between 43 and 58 years old. So if you're 58 years old, you're the oldest member of Gen X, and you're literally knocking on the door of retirement if you ever plan on retiring. But you also want to be financially secure, even if you want to keep working. And at that point in life, we also have a sense of urgency in terms of maybe doing a couple of things, while we're still healthy, while we're still young enough. And so I think these concepts will help with that as well. But first, let's just have a little fun. Let's open some Garbage Pail Kids. That's a classic Gen X thing. This is the 10th series from, 1989 or something like that. It's going to have a really... I'm going to open this up right here. It has a really nasty piece of gum in it, as you can see there. And that is so gross. That is so gross. I'm going to throw that away. I'm not interested in the gum. I'm going to get rid of that. Stale 40, 35-year-old gum. And here we are with our gross package. And let's see what we got here. And it's funny, the gum kind of. So we got this guy, fill her up. We have erased Erica. This just gives you a sense of Gen X. This is what we were looking at as kids, right? So this is Claude. Might come up backwards on the screen, so I apologize for that. And then what we got here? Sardine Candace, right there, pretty cool. We've got this one, which is Amazing Mason. Okay, got it. And we've got Raked Jake. All right, Garbage Pail Kids, they're fun. And if you still got them, Gen Xers, they're worth a lot of money now. So keep an eye out for that. All right, let's do it. We're going to dive right in here. The MTV generation, right? Generation X, can't believe it, but many of us are 7 to 15 years away from traditional retirement. And most of us cannot believe how the heck that happened, because we were the young ones in the room, but not any longer. Now we are kind of, in that middle ground. And it's a particularly challenging time for Gen X, because a lot of Gen X are still raising children, but then they may also be helping a parent or grandparent. So that's why personal finance and the things we talk about at Money Vikings are so critical for Gen X right now. So it is a unique sort of generation. And we've also gone through our share of trials and tribulations. You have to realize, we were kind of in the beginning years of our careers when the dot-com bubble burst. So everybody was going to get rich around the late 90s off of dot-com stocks, Webvan and homegrocer.com and all these other pets.com. Well, everybody kind of was making a lot of money and that thing totally crashed. So that was a total distrust of the stock market at a very early age. A couple of years after that, maybe 5, 10 plus years into our careers, 9/11 hit. So those of you who are younger probably don't remember, but that really did change the world, and it also changed the economy in a lot of ways. Jobs after that point were different. And in addition to that, we have increasingly accelerated technological change. So this is a generation that straddles two worlds. We remember a time, kind of an analog life, before cell phones, before a computer in your house, before all this technology, before an Alexa and all this stuff, before self-driving cars. It was just a very basic world. All that stuff was being developed. And then we remember how that switch in the early 2000s started to take place, and all of a sudden there was so much technology, and now we're in this technology abundant, rich world. So it's just a lot of stuff that's kind of going on in our brains. So very demanding time in life. There's 65 million Gen Xers. That's who they are. MTV Generation. So we got to get things right here. There's also a distrust. There's also a concept that Social Security won't totally be there for us. There's these projections that it's going to run out at some point, and that we're going to start getting reduced benefits. So that's another reason why time is of the essence for Gen X, and our time is now. So now's the time to really get our financial houses in order. And let's go through what those are. So the first thing I want to talk about is this. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, some of my personal heroes, I always bring these guys up. They will casually bring up that a lot of times their success has more to do with avoiding major mistakes as opposed to always doing the right thing. And you kind of find that sort of strange to think about. But when I start thinking about it, that is a key aspect right now for Gen X. One of the things we have to do is we have to avoid any major mistakes with our personal finances. I don't know, getting enamored with buying too much house and it just blows the budget, puts us into all kinds of extremis, and then we have to claim bankruptcy. Blowing the budget on some big fancy RV or something, or, going nuts with, some over the top fancy car. Listen, I like a nice car. Okay. So that's all good stuff. But at the same time, let's keep our wits about us right now. Is it really a good time? Do we really have to have the, $70,000, $80,000 car? I think will we be fine with the hopefully $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 car, right? So it's that kind of stuff. And in addition to that, I would say in terms of avoiding major mistakes, another major mistake though is to not think about the present. And that sounds counterintuitive because we're talking about retirement concepts here and personal finance and being financially secure. But we do need to cherish these times. And it's a hard time in life for us. There's a lot of demands on our time. We have family pressures. We have work pressures. A lot of Gen Xers are at the height of their peak earnings at this point in life. And with that comes increased responsibility and demand. So we tend to be in jobs that are extremely demanding right now. So we've got to slow down, do our breathing, right? Which I always talk about, Money Vikings Health. We've got to do our breathing. We got to slow down a little bit. We got to savor and enjoy. Got to stop and smell the roses sometimes, right? It's hard to remember, but that's also a mistake we could make right now. We could be so busy with life that we could miss our kids growing up, or whatever it might be. We're not going to be there for everything. We're not going to be perfect. We got to give ourselves a break. We've made it this far. But just remember to savor the days and make the best of each one as you can. I like the saying, do what you can with what you've got, right? In this moment. So that's kind of the idea. All right, so that's number one. Let's really try to avoid major mistakes. That in itself is going to create a situation where we're not doing a lot of damage to ourselves financially, health, life-wise. Okay, number two. I say it a lot, but this is exactly the time where we have got to be automating those investments, okay? I know it's cliche, but it's critical in our system, and it's critical to not be our own worst enemy. So we have to be, at least getting that company match if we are lucky enough to have one. I know not everybody is, but remember, or maybe you're part of a traditional pension plan or whatever it is, or maybe you have a self-directed IRA where you have 5% if that's all you can afford, or 3%. I think the important thing is to be doing something. So give yourself a break. Just be doing something. And maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's not the, maxed out 15%, 20%, and you're getting all the match. But maybe at this time in life, because of the way the budget is, maybe you can afford to put 3% away every month, but it's automated. I think that's the key thing, because that creates a stickiness where we can't go and be our own worst enemy. To get in and raid those accounts takes work, and we're so busy, we might be deterred from going in and raiding it. If that money is just sitting in a savings account that's connected to our checking or our credit card, most likely we're going to find something in life that's going to happen, and we're going to need that money. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is a critical time to keep health in mind. And that's why, we do Money Vikings Health, because it's part of a true wealth life, having our health in order. So it really is crunch time in terms of health as well. This is that critical time where maybe the habits and the things we did in our 20s, our teens, 20s, and 30s, this is kind of the time when some of that stuff can catch up to us. So I think this is really the good time to make sure that we are getting plenty of good quality rest as best we can, doing some kind of stress management, doing maybe some therapy. This is a time to maybe start, let's start cutting back on the junk food. Let's really try to get that plate filled with more vegetables, more whole grains, some fish. Let's get that plate filled out with some healthier foods. So that's number 3. Definitely let's try to recommit ourselves to a healthy lifestyle as much as we can. Okay, number 4. We really, at this time, need to start thinking about passive income machines and diversifying our income. So if we're 7 or 15 years away from retirement, traditional retirement, we need to spend the next 7 to 15 years building passive income machines, right? One of those could be the 401k, right? So that's why I tell people to not get so fixated on the balance of a 401k on a day or monthly or even annual basis. The thing over the long run is that you're going to build that account and you're going to be able to draw, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month off of it as income in the future. And it'll be one element of passive income. Now think of ways to do others. Maybe there's some real estate investment trusts out there. I like O. Maybe there is a traditional real estate investment that could potentially provide some passive income in the future. That's a little harder right now with the way interest rates are and prices and supply and demand, but it could be something that's a good long-term play. But just be thinking about what will your various income streams be in 7 to 15 years? Will it be, partly Social Security at some point? Will it be a 401k? Are you lucky enough to have some kind of pension? Hey, keep building into that. That's going to be really critical. Are there ways to build other ones? Can you get 10, 20, 30,000 in a real estate investment trust, right? That's going to produce a little bit of income every month. Can you figure out a way to pick up a rental property in some market where it makes sense for you, where you can handle it? So that's just the idea, is start thinking about those income streams. Okay, number five for Gen X. So this one goes back to what I said about automating. So my point is, this would be a great time to maximize retirement accounts. So if you can max out the contribution, that's ideal right now, because that's going to build that thing up really nice and plump, so that in 7 to 15 years, when we do start drawing off of it, we're going to have a little bit more of a cushion there and we can enjoy that. So the other thing I'd keep in mind is taxes are bound to be an issue in the future. So consider what kinds of retirement accounts you're looking into. Are we talking about Roth IRAs, where you're paying the taxes up front? Because most likely taxes in the future will be higher. There's going to be a lot less workers, and there's going to be demographically, there's going to be a lot more older people drawing off the system, and there's going to be less workers. Now, we're not as bad off as a lot of countries, because we have the millennials. The millennials are a really big generation, right? And they're going to have some kids as well. But in general, we won't have that big baby boomer block. So the baby boomers are going to be living longer, they're going to be drawing off, and then the Gen Xers are going to follow behind them. And so you're going to have the millennials that are kind of paying into the system. So consider that Roth IRA situation if possible. Okay, number six. Number six is about really thinking at this time about portfolio allocation and diversifying our investments. You know, I talk about it a lot. We're in the midst of the raging 20s. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. You know, we just went through this pretty wild summer. We had some natural disasters. All those things cost society quite a bit, and it puts at risk various real estate investments, and it even puts at risk various companies. So we need to be thinking about diversity in terms of our investments. If we're fixated on one company, you better hope that that one company is just going to come in and save the day and really do well for a long time. But, you know, that doesn't always happen. I am old enough to remember a company called Enron, and it was this company about, 20 years ago, maybe more than that. But before that, it was considered a stock or an investment that your grandparents would invest in because it was so reliable. It was a reliable utility. Well, guess what? It went down the tubes, totally in infamy. Totally cheated on their statements. They cheated everybody. They cheated the investors. They were lying about the accounting, et cetera, et cetera. It became a total debacle. It's another debacle that some Gen Xers remember when they were starting to invest. They might have thought, oh, Enron, that's going to be a nice, safe, long-term utility play. Well, it didn't work out. So again, number six is we've got to be thinking about diversifying things. What's the mix of stocks? You know, are we doing, some bonds in there? Are we going to have some cash positions? Are we going to have some real estate? Are we going to do some technology, some small caps, mid caps, maybe a little bit of emerging market exposure? But you can see more at truewealth.moneyvikings.com. We have our Ride Our Bike portfolio, which is basically the concept of setting it. It's going to stand the test of time. It's going to take some bumps and scrapes, but it's probably going to grow, and we can just ride our bike and enjoy the day and have a carpe diem moment, right? So that's that. That's number six. Okay. The seventh one, the last one I'll mention, then I'll mention a bonus thing. The last one is paying off debt. A lot of Gen Xers are having a hard time with debt, and that's because of what I talked about. Many of us are dealing with, we're raising children, which is very expensive. Don't let anybody lie to you. And we're also sometimes helping out parents or grandparents or whatever it might be. And then at the same time, we're trying to take care of our own needs and invest for our own future. With that can come debt. And a lot of us might be homeowners. You know, you might have to go into debt to put a new roof on the house or whatever it might be. So my point is to have some focus area on it and don't ignore it. That's the main thing. So I have done a video on tips to deal with debt, but one of my main ideas with dealing with debt is to look it head on and be realistic and honest. Let's get it on the table and let's be honest about what we're facing. And then from there, let's battle it and destroy it. Number one, stop the bleeding. So let's not go into more debt to buy the fancy car. Let's stop the bleeding. That's the first thing, is just don't make it worse, right? Don't make a problem worse. That's what doctors talk about. And then at that point, start chipping away at it the best you can every single month, just attacking that thing. At that point, you just want to make sure, because that can get overwhelming for people. So you want to make sure it doesn't get overwhelming. So the final bonus I'll talk about is do consider at this point seeking professional advice. So this is probably a good time, mid to late career for a lot of Gen Xers are starting to emerge into mid-career. And then for some of the Gen Xers, late stage career. This is definitely the time to seek some professional advice. So, I would interview advisors, fee only. I would interview fiduciaries who have your best interests at stake and see if there's any of them that could give you some consultations, or even reach out to people like us at Money Vikings. Send us an email. We do financial coaching. We walk people through their finances and give them advice or ideas on ways that they can be stronger and better. So that's that, everybody. Gen X, hang in there. You're awesome. We're going to be okay. Just take it one day at a time. And I hope that all these ideas help. And please like and subscribe if you liked Money Vikings content and we add value to your life. That's our whole goal. Week in and week out, we do a couple new videos a week with all kinds of different ideas for a life of true wealth. It's investing, personal finance, budgeting, collectibles even, and health. All right, take care, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your kids. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.